Hi there, Agile friends. Get ready for the World Tour of Agile at the Agile Online Summit 2023. You can join us from October 24th to 26th for a global showcase of cutting-edge Agile practices and insights. Join us at agileonlinesummit.com. This year, we will be featuring some of the best work done around the world and world-class keynotes. You can check all of that at agileonlinesummit.com. But the best part is that your ticket is on us. That's right, it's free to attend and immerse yourself in the world of Agile excellence. Don't miss out on this opportunity to level up your skills and network with peers and industry experts. Mark your calendars and secure your spot at AOS 23 today by visiting agileonlinesummit.com. So get your free ticket or opt for the full digital pass that lets you keep all the conference videos forever and organize, why not, Agile learning sessions at work. You can get the full digital access at agileonlinesummit.com. I'll see you in the conference floor. Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And joining us this week from Finland is a very old friend, Aki Salmi. Hey, Aki. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Asko, it's nice being here. Nice having a chat with you.
Absolutely. So Aki is a software crafter and shares the joy of coding and the value of empathy at work. That is, in his own words, Aki works with ones and zeros, the code, and everything else, the humans, of course. And Aki, I couldn't believe when we had a chat a few weeks ago that you had not yet been on the podcast, but then I checked and that's true. You had not yet been on the podcast. So I'm really happy you're here. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
Oh, yeah. I was also like remembering the back in the days we talked that I would come into this podcast. And I think that was around the time when I actually was a Scrum Master. So which was like 10, 11 years ago. So it's been a while for me when I was a Scrum Master. So how did I become a Scrum Master? So back in 2010, I joined a team or a group of people working on a project that had 3 teams in there, or 2 teams at that point. And we had a Scrum Master there, a developer Scrum Master doing both things. And then there was like 20 of us roughly in the project. And then we decided that around that time that we want to change something. So something needs to change because things were not progressing. Maybe it was slow, maybe it's something else. And we got a coach to with us for 2 days. And during that 2 days, the coach was like, the Scrum Masters at that time, they were 2 or 3 and had was coaching them. And at that point, we figured out in the teams that what we want to do is have full-time Scrum Masters. And then these Scrum Masters who were then the developer Scrum Masters asked me to join these sessions, and then asked like if I'd want to be one of the Scrum Masters, full-time Scrum Masters. And that's sort of how I ended up being a Scrum Master after like being in that team for 2 months, maybe.
And you joined as a developer at that time.
Yeah, I joined as a developer, but later I learned that the person who like hired me wanted me to become a Scrum Master. Just wasn't told that.
So you were godfathered in then.
Yeah, that was like the plan.
And of course, you still code, and that's one of the things you call yourself, a software crafter. Yes. And I did see you code live for everybody to know. So he is still coding, and I can be an eyewitness for that. And I don't know if it happened in that project you were just mentioning a minute ago, but sometimes kind of this shared role, this split role can become a little bit confusing and overwhelming as well.
Yes.
I don't know if that's the story you're going to tell us, Aki, but tell us a story of a moment where you as a Scrum Master, you gave it your best, but as it so often happens at that time, the best just wasn't good enough. We'll dive into the details and the lessons learned later, but tell us that story first.
That is actually one of the things that I'll before going into what didn't go like well, I tell a very like funny story of the change that we did, because the developer Scrum Master had like previously happened to be one of the like most experienced people, typically like more like lead developer role-ish. And then there was like a lot of the design discussions were like always centered with Scrum Master. And who made the design decisions? Not the team, but the Scrum Master. So when we started this thing of like full-time Scrum Masters, so how we approach these situations after this, like after this change, people came to Scrum Masters for, do we do A or B? What was our answer always? Happened once or twice. We asked, do you have a coin? Then we flipped the coin and A. And they looked at us and like, what? A? It says A. And said, if you want us to make decisions, this is the way we do decisions. They never came back to us anymore. From that moment onwards, they were always doing all these decisions by themselves. But yeah, there was a story of in that team. So it was a group of people who had been working on the system for 1.5 years roughly, and then in the just need to take this one thing off. So they had been working with the team so the team had worked with the product for 1.5 years. So there was a lot of domain knowledge. And then there was one magic moment of when the business came with a request saying that you need to do 500 story points by the end of this year. That doesn't make
Where
any
did
sense,
the 500 come from? I'm curious.
Just a random number. Honestly, that was just a random number. That was just like we had done like a huge one day, just like estimating a lot of shit, and then we figured out that the like if we calculated all these things, we had like 370. So they said you have to do 500 by the end of this year. And of course, people who are like programmers figured out that there's some math around it, and we had velocity and things, and they asked like, looking at the velocity, when would we be ready? We said in a year from now, like May, like the next year. So it's like 5 months overdue. So that was sort of how things started, and then what happened was this was an amazing moment for me. So it was like a few months after I started to be a Scrum Master. We went in the team went into a small room, and we figured out what just happened. And then in that moment, the team said, we can't do this alone. We're like totally, we're screwed. We cannot do this. There's no way we can do this alone. And then we said to the business, and so we can only do this if you support us. So what we ask for them is we ask business to actually come to sit with us. So the business people came to sit with us. So they were with us. We could constantly have questions with them. What ended happening was we did outperform. So we basically did like achieve the thing that they wanted us to achieve.
A random number, by the way.
A random number, by the way. So they wanted us to do a random number, and we were like so quick with the team to actually provide value, and we could like deploy to production every day. And we were very like quick and there was just like not enough work for us anymore in the end of the year. All sounds good, right?
Yeah, that sounds very good. It sounds like a non-failure story to me.
That sounds like a non-failure. But then what happened was when we were all like waiting for like people from the business come to us and you did a great work. Instead, what happened was the business came to us saying, you failed miserably. We're going to fix everything. We came here to fix everything. So all Agile went away. Everything like no more like deployments to production every day. Who wants to deploy every day? We do deployments once every 3 months. That's what we want. So
oh wow, that sounds a bit confusing from the listener perspective. So I'm listening to this story, and you were asked to deliver a random number of story points. You did some changes to the process that made you more agile and helped you to deliver that random number of story points. And instead of praise, what you got was punishment.
Yes, exactly.
What is the logic behind that?
No, they actually, I remember they came, like, we had this all hands like this, I don't know what it was called, but they literally came to we came to fix everything, which meant like our like the leaders who were like team leads, they were like moved away. Few people, like some actually did quit before that because they actually knew that this is going to happen maybe, and everything changed. So yeah, so I think like the learning from this is that it doesn't help to be agile in a bubble, because we knew that we are a very tiny, nice bubble in this organization, and we are doing agile.
And the organization as a whole had failed to deliver something, whatever, we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what was the thing, or was there a thing like there is rumors. This is not facts. This is a rumor that one of the, like, some lead somewhere had promised things without consulting anything from us, and then there was like a mismatch between the sort of leader of the organization where we were and the expectations from the bigger organizations. And what we sort of saw was this amazing job that we did, and what the others saw was this amazing failure, right?
Wow. And also highlight, so one of the things you already said, which is like it doesn't help to be agile in a bubble, right? Like even though the bubble might be completely successful, everything else around may fail still.
Yep.
And the other aspect that highlights for me is that as Scrum Masters and Agile coaches, we should always be looking at who's the customer for the benefits that Agile brings. Right. And it's not just the customer for the product. That might be one of the stakeholders, but it might also be some leader within the engineering organization. It might be the CEO themselves. It might be a product owner or a product manager. And it also means that we need to know exactly who is the person that we're doing this agile thing for, right? Because we're not doing it for us. I mean, most developers I know, not you, Aki, but most developers I know would be happy coding in a room and never releasing anything, because what they like is the coding. They hate the releasing, right? So, and that's okay if that's what your business allows, but not all businesses allow that. And we need to be aware that we're actually doing this agile thing to serve someone, not ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. So that was very like as you said, this sounds like a confusing story for the listeners, and it was very, very sad. It was like the months after that was like super sad. So what also happened was that when they came to fix everything, what we weren't allowed to ask anymore is the question why. My manager said to me, so there was funny moment where me being a Scrum Master, and what we had a physical wall where we tracked like daily on like stickies who's working on what topic or what sort of task, and we could track the like who's working on which day on topic on every single day of the past 1.5 years at that point. With these things, and everything was in Excel sheets. I've sent you the Excel sheets back in the days. And then the someone said that now one of the like customers wants to know like within 15 minutes what every developer is doing. And I said, no, we don't do that. We have this information already. This is the level of like what we're not asking them to track like every 15 minutes what they're doing. My manager came to me that after that and took me into a room, and the conversation was this: Aki, I feel very bad when you say no to the clients. Never say no again, okay?
Oh my God. Well, so this comes back to that question, like, who are we serving? Right?
Exactly.
Like if the agile adoption was to be able to track what we do every 15 minutes, then of course we need to decide whether we want to be part of it. But that should be clearly communicated, right? Like, we're adopting agile so that we can track every 15 minutes what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't sound so sexy though. maybe people wouldn't like to do that if that's the reason to do Agile, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And this is why it's so clear, important, so critical to ask that question, which you just mentioned, which is, okay, why? Who's going to benefit from this?
Yep.
Exactly. Okay, that was a confusing but also brilliant story and with lots of takeaways. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was a sad story at the time, and later it turned into one of my favorite ones, and funny and sad, and yeah.
Maybe we'll come back to that. So stay tuned and listen to the rest of the week. Monday is about what we learned from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests helped their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.